There's only one Reese on the radio.
Ooh, bet I look good in some sheets. It's been a long week. Think I'm finna kick up my feet. I'm craving isolation and a few tangerines. I crave a little me time on my free time, but time be moving slow. But ain't no stagger when I step. I'm a casual man, so I always watch before I tread. I ain't mad, I'm just trying to get my ass about this bit. It's real hard to eat fresh off the ties around your neck. It's hard. Shut up. It's hard. Wait a minute, I got joy in my spirit. I got money in my pocket and some seasoning for my chicken. Why am I stressing? Won't even address it. Leave my problems on my nightstand. Worries on my dresser. See, now there's a bigger picture, but I already knew that. Cause it through the fire, but I couldn't take the blowback. And then right there's a throwback. Ain't really trying to go there again. It's real hard when you're in it, but I guess in the end it's hard. Oh, good, baby. Ooh.
Reese on the radio. Whack FM.
All right, ladies, buckle up. It's showtime.
What's wrong with being an angry prophet denouncing the hypocrisies of our times?
Do you want to be an angry prophet denouncing the hypocrisies of our times?
Yeah, I think I'd like to be an angry prophet denouncing the hypocrisies of our times. Then grab it, grab it.
Mary had a little lamb, its fleece was white as snow, and everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go.
Turn on, tune in, and drop out.
Yeah, I'm super cool.
I never once said nagada.
I think everyone wants to know where we came from and how the universe began.
You know what I'm saying?
I have sinned against you.
Reese.
Hey! What's going on? All you scallywags out there, it is Reese on the radio right here live on Whacker Family Music News and Talk Station. If you're wondering why I'm wearing the headphones, it's easier for me to hear the audio during the show when I do it this way. So forgive me for that, but that's just the nature of the beast. Anyway, our program today, folks, is going to have a whole bunch of stuff in it. Some audio, some video. We're going to talk about plenty of things, but we're going to talk about the shooting in Chicago of the 13-year-old boy and how many people within the African-American community are outraged, even though the boy was Latin. Not sure exactly what that's about, but we'll get to it. I'm going to give you my unique take on the story. A lot of people are going to get mad. And I am going to inject the Capitol riots on January 6th into my synopsis of what took place. So be prepared for that. We have to talk about that. We have to talk about what happened to CNN this week. For those of you who do know, CNN got busted by one of its technical directors, where he pretty much just said the quiet part out loud, that they're a bunch of partisans, propagandists. They're not a real news organization, nor have they ever been. I know some people out there going, yeah, Reese, but we knew that. Well, now we have to start calling out its supporters. People who go on those networks, people who support that network, CNN. Don Lemon, Chris Cuomo, Jim Sciutto, Erin Burnett, Wolf Blitzer, Jake Tapper. What do they know and when do they know it? All that stuff has got to be it's got to be addressed today, and we have to talk about it, and we will. Let me see, what other stuff do we have to get into today? Oh, Hank Johnson, the dumbest man in Congress. Hank Johnson, this fool-ass Negro, talking about how we need to go back to the pre-Civil War status of the Supreme Court. Right, we have to go way back into slavery days to bring back 13 members of the Supreme Court. Hank Johnson is a moron. Please stop bringing this dude out to be your spokesperson. This man thought that Guam could capsize. And he said it out loud. How is this man continuously getting reelected? This goes to show you, and look, I'm sorry, if there are stupid people in Congress, if there are stupid people in public office, if you have voted for an idiot, you, my friend, are an idiot. Now, some of you may turn around and say, well, Reese on the radio, you voted for George W. Bush. He is not an idiot. Let's talk about some idiots, because trust me, I got plenty to go after. Hello, Carl. There are plenty of people to rip shreds into who are dumb people. Congressman Al Green, Sheila Jackson Lee. The list goes on and on. You know some dumb people out there. Julian what was his name? Julian Castro and his brother Joaquin Castro. Morons. Complete and effing moron. All of them. Stupid. But you know this, folks. I don't have to tell you this. They're morons. Who else do we have to get into today? Let me see. We have to talk. We have to talk about Louis Farrakhan and Noah X. Yes, Noah X. Did you people forget about him? I didn't. I did not forget about Noah X. I told you that story was going to go away. I told you no one was going to talk about it. The media rushed away from that story. It was like it wasn't obviously not like a plague because they love stories like that. But they ran away from that story like it had the cooties. But we have to talk about Noah X and the Nation of Islam. And I have to call out my brother. You know who you are. Derek Muhammad. I have to call you out. What happened, bro? I could have sworn that Noah X couldn't have possibly been down with the Nation of Islam. No way. There's no way he was down with the Nation of Islam. And then Farrakhan spoke him up. Said that he was a good brother. He could have been a star. Of course he could have been a star. He's not a star now. Why is there no goddamn parade for Noah X? Farrakhan, get on it. We need a parade for Noah X. He went after the evil white man. And he took down a copper while he was at it. Injured another. Everybody's sitting around here talking about that's not what Farrakhan preaches. Where the F you been? That's not what Farrakhan... What have you been listening to? Something wrong with your ears or something wrong with mine? Farrakhan hates Whitey. Hates the Jews. Hates the others. He'll incorporate a couple of them Spanish people to be down with him when they are necessary. That's how the brothers speak when they're down their pulpit. You could be down with us when it's necessary. They like the big syllable words. I will deal with you expeditiously. It's like they're dancing through the words. I could do that. I could do them Negroes all day. See, this is what Courtney Ann was talking about. She said, you don't say nice things about black people. I'm talking about specific Negroes. I am specific. All black people are fine. Specific Negroes, I will completely excoriate. That's another word they like. Excoriate. I will go after those particular black people. Black people are fine and dandy. They are my brothers and sisters. But there are some within our community who need to be eradicated. And you know who they are. And these people claim so much. But when it's important, they're completely they're off their reservation. So anyway, we'll talk about that. We got to talk about the shooter in Indianapolis, the FedEx location. We got to talk about him. Young 19-year-old white boy. Why did they not do something about this boy? He was trying to commit suicide by a cop since last year. His mother is now saying that she warned the police about him. Now some 8 people are dead. Others are injured. Why did the police not do something more? Because it's not the police's job, goddammit. It's the parents' job to get that kid into a hospital. Get that kid into a psych ward. To get that boy into a rubber room. But nobody did anything. I love the way that this mother is now talking about how she warned the police. You don't have to warn the police. It's your kid. Whose responsibility is this now? He's 19 this year, which means he was 18. Sorry, is he 19 this year? Yeah, 19 this year, which means he was 18 last year. He was living in your home. You knew full well that this kid had some issues. What did you do to prevent him from being out in the public square, where he was putting himself and others at risk? You did nothing. And now all of a sudden you sit up there talking about what the cops knew? What did you know? If anybody is culpable, see, this is the point where we need to get more litigation involved. See, this is where, forget suing the gun manufacturers. Let's sue the parents. Now, of course, if they are of age, you can't do that. But see, I'm the type, if I was that type of lawyer, I would sue the family. You let this son of a bitch out the house? You allowed this man to go into his office and kill people? What are you not doing at home? You not giving no nookie? Sue her! I'm just saying. It's just my point. Anyway, we'll get into that. What was the other story I had to get into today? I noticed about Mr. Johnson, that moron. There was, forgive me, because I know that I had it in front of me and I got a whole bunch of other stuff. Yes, I said the 19-year-old boy. Oh, Andrew Yang and what he's going to be doing in New York City, folks. By the way, folks, if you want some free money and never have to work again, get your ass on a bus, get your ass on a train, get your ass to New York City. Hurry up. Andrew Yang may very well be the mayor of New York City. And I understand he's got cash. He is going to get you paid. And if you never ever want to have to work again, get your ass out to New York City. Because Andrew Yang has got the bucks. It's like winning the lotto. It's like, what's that thing, 5,000 years for life? The Publishers Clearinghouse thing that they do? You may get that opportunity. Can you imagine that? Anyway. What else do we got here? We got the first defendant in the Capitol riots. Speaking of the Capitol riots, we got one of them pleading guilty. He's going to take a plea deal. And he's going to testify against other people who took place in the Capitol riots, which in and of itself, I mean, wow. Talk about folding like a lawn chair. Damn. Just folding like a lawn chair. by the federal government. They said you can't beat you can't beat City Hall. This Negro. Whoo! All right, so let's get to the Chicago shooter, the Chicago child, Adam Toledo. 13-year-old, out at 2 a.m. in the morning. Why? No one wants to answer that question. You won't. You won't get an answer from the boy's mother. You won't get an answer from anybody's parents, any guardians. You won't get anything. You'll get nothing. Let's see if I can get this. That's not what I wanted. Sorry. I went the wrong way there. Yeah, Chicago police shooting. Where's my story? Here it is. Adam Toledo. So, according to this story, actually comes from what? Oh, this is the BBC. Ooh. The BBC. Chicago police have released the graphic footage of an officer shooting dead a 13-year-old boy in a dark alley. Body cam video shows the police shouting, "Drop it," before Adam Toledo before shooting him once in the chest on the 29th of March. The boy does not appear to be holding a weapon. In a split second, he is shot, but police video shows a handgun near the spot where he falls. Small protests were held on Tuesday evening around Chicago hours after the city's mayor appealed for calm. The video release follows a fatal shooting on April 11th of Dante Wright when an officer mistook their taser for a gun, allegedly. I will get into that shooting in a minute because, right now, if you were to ask people in Black Lives Matter, or hell, ask people in the black community, a Negro has been shot every day this week by a white police officer, other than just two, this kid in Chicago and one in Minneapolis. In fact, millions of black people have been shot by police in the last week. We just happen to only know the names of these two individuals, Dante and Adam. We only know their names. But there were millions others that were shot that we just can't remember their names. Probably because it didn't happen. Now, I haven't watched this video, and I'm not going to. I refuse to watch the graphic nature of this kind of stuff. I find it gratuitous and, to be honest with you, grotesque. I don't need to see a 13-year-old boy die. I don't have that as a list of things I need to do before I go into the sweet by and by. I don't need to inject or infest my memories with that image or imagery, for that matter. For those of you who need to see it, see it. That's your business. It's your right. But I'm not going to watch it, nor am I going to show that video here on this program. Not going to happen. But let's talk about it, since it's on the lips of every person who knows better. All right? They know better than you. They know better than everyone else. And you are only supposed to have one reaction to this. The reaction to this is that he's a special needs 13-year-old boy. He was shot by a police officer. Woe is the 13-year-old boy. My response to that is, F that. F that. F that. F that. I am not, I'm not empathetic. I'm not. Get used to it. I do not care that this 13-year-old boy was shot. I don't care that he was shot with a single shot by the police. I do not care that he's in the city of Chicago, that he was a special needs kid shot by the police. I do not care that I'm supposed to care, according to everybody else, about him being shot and killed. Let me tell you why. Because on January 6th, when a woman was shot by a police officer for climbing in through a window with no weapon, everybody said that bitch deserved it. When people were dying on the steps of the Capitol, as long as they were white, oh, they were insurrectionists. They went in there. If they died, they died. They should have never ever gone into that Capitol building where the Capitol Police were. They were asking for it if they died. How dare those people? Didn't those people know better than to run into that building? That woman, she got what she deserved. She wanted to go in there and fight for her freedom. She gave her life for Trump. Well, according to this story, this 13-year-old gave his life for the gang. This 13-year-old boy gave his life for the gang. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. The boy has gun residue on his hands. He's rolling deep with the gangs. He's a killer, shooter, thug. He came up on the police 2 o'clock in the morning after shooting a gun. Why do I feel empathy? Why should I? You don't feel empathy when you don't care. So why should I? Am I supposed to care? That was an unarmed woman in the Capitol building. Unarmed. Yeah, she was trying to get into the Capitol building. Yeah, she climbed through a window. She was still unarmed. I mean, if we're supposed to take into consideration, what's this other boy's name? Dante Wright. We're supposed to take into consideration. Yeah, he was trying to flee. Yeah, he was trying to get out. The girl, she grabbed the gun instead of the taser. She ends up shooting him. Taser, taser, taser. He holds no responsibility. He bears no responsibility for his actions. Police officer shot him. You lose your mind. This kid was trying to escape. Ends up getting shot. This kid's running around shooting up a neighborhood. Comes out to a police officer at 2 o'clock in the morning in the darkness with a gun in his hand. That woman in the Capitol building just climbed through a window. Broad daylight with a whole bunch of people there. Police officer with gun drawn. She didn't even come near him. Couldn't have had his life. His life wasn't threatened. Nobody's life was threatened when she climbed through that window. She's unarmed. She's not lunging at anybody. She doesn't have a weapon. She doesn't have a knife. She's barely Noah X in that scenario. But you Negroes were screaming, she deserved it! So what's the haps? What's the haps now? Now we're supposed to be all outraged. We're supposed to feel bad. 13-year-old kid, 2 o'clock in the morning, gun in his hand, gun residue on his hands. He's clearly been shooting, member of a gang. Yeah, exactly. It's 2 a.m. Do you know where your children are? Clearly not, Rama. Exactly. Clearly not. That's right. Double standard. That's right. Because if it weren't for double standards, the left would have no standards at all. You're 100% right there, Michael. But I don't feel for homeboy. I don't feel for this kid. I don't. 13-year-old kid joins a gang, runs around with a gun. What? You think the kid's running around with the gun thinking that this is okay? Why is he running from the police when the police get there? Because he knows that if he's caught with a gun, he's going to get arrested? Huh? Why is he rolling with the gang anyway? Does he think that the gangs do good works in the neighborhood? Is he under the impression he's a special needs boy? Does the special needs boy really think that the gangs are doing good works in their community? Like, what special needs was he? What was his special need? I'll tell you what his special need was. His special need was an ass whooping. How about that? He needed something special, all right. And that'd have been a foot in the ass. Under any other circumstances, under normal circumstances, but we don't do that anymore. The clip shows the officer jumping out of his squad car and chasing the Latino boy on foot down a dark alley as another suspect disappears from view. The policeman shouts, "Police, stop! Stop right effing now! Hands! Show me your hands! Show me your effing hands!" The boy turns and raises his hand. The officer shouts, "Drop it," and fires his weapon 19 seconds after exiting his squad car. Separate CCTV footage appears to show the teenager throwing something through a gap in a fence as the officer runs up on him. Body cam video shows the officer shining a light on the handgun behind the wooden fence after the shooting. The policeman calls for an ambulance while urging the fallen boy to stay awake. Well, that's not all he shouts, because I heard this audio. I won't watch it, but I heard the audio. The officer is frantic. Frantic about shooting this boy. The policeman calls for an ambulance while urging the fallen boy to stay awake. Other officers arrive at the scene in the Little Village neighborhood of the city's west side, and CPR is performed. According to prosecutors, the teenager was with a 21-year-old man, Ruben Roman, who had just fired a gun at a passing car. The gunfire drew police to the area, resulting in a deadly confrontation. Mr. Roman appeared in court on Saturday, charged with aggravated unlawful use of a weapon, reckless discharge of a firearm, and child endangerment. The Civilian Office of Police Accountability released the body cam footage on Thursday, along with CCTV video, arrest reports, and audio recordings of the shots fired in the area that alerted police. Oh my God! Is that true, Slider? I don't know. I'm not familiar with you, Slider, and this may be the first time you're on the show. But is that true? That according to Slider, who's watching live on YouTube, thank you. It says his gang name was Little Homicide. Now, I don't know whether or not that's confirmed, but if that's true, I mean, what else can I say? Remember that mom from 5 years ago? Yes, Rama. Sorry, I cut off what Rama wrote, because I jumped to say, yes, I remember. Rama says, remember that mom from 5 years ago who beat her son's ass and yanked him out of those Baltimore riots? That saved his life. That's right. I would love to see a follow-up, Rama, of that story. For those of you who do remember, there were the riots going on in Baltimore after the Freddie Gray death that resulted in Freddie Gray's family receiving somewhere close to $7.5 million as a wrongful death suit. But there was this one video that went viral of this mother who saw her son out there protesting, and rightly so. She grabbed him by his collar of his hoodie, and she dragged his ass back home. And you could see her swatting and beating him. I mean, there was some special needs being handed out to that young boy right there. But you're right, Rama. I remember that. And she totally saved his life. She totally saved his life. Don't get out here and start doing that. I just I had a conversation with a friend who showed me a picture. There's a news story from 2019. Okay, I will. Okay, this is Mike. Thank you, Mike. Mike from, which Mike? I'd love to know which Mike that is. I think is it Michael Hutton? I think it's Michael. Anyway. White Mike. Okay, anyway, Andy No posted it. His homies were calling him Little Homicide. He was a gangster. I believe that. Look, I totally believe that, Mike. All right, the kid was, there's no way that kid was quote-unquote special needs, or they're using that as some sort of plot. No, I'm not ignoring you, Carl. There's no way that this kid was special needs like we're supposed to believe, like he was slow and didn't know what he was doing. He knew what he was doing. I will look up the news story, Rama, on the kid. I mean, he probably is doing much better thanks to his mom getting in his ass the way that she did. His gang name was Little Homicide. And this Lori Lightfoot, or as I like to call her, Lori Lightweight, asking the public to remain peaceful. I hope so. I mean, it's only Chicago. I mean, how much more damage can you do to the damn place? It was just stupid. And I agree. I think, well, he's 13. He couldn't be very bright. You know, someone said today on Fox, I was listening on Sirius as I was driving today. Somebody was talking about how the pandemic and school closures sort of played a role in what happened to this little boy. Bull crap. That's just bull. This isn't the pandemic and teachers' unions not showing up for work and kids not being in school. This had nothing to do with that. Okay? The gangs have had a foothold in these communities for, generations. Okay? They influence the weakest of them all, the dumbest of them all, the ill-informed of them all, the wretched of them all. They're easy to be recruited. These are not pillars of society they recruit into the gangs. Okay? And this little boy is susceptible to that because he's no more smarter than the average kid in that community. Why? Because education isn't promoted in that community. And it never will be. They'll never promote education in this community. I make this argument all the time, folks. I'll make it again till it's literally pouring out of everybody's ears. Okay? The black and brown communities of the United States of America are the last to buy into education. They refuse it. They neglect it. They run from it. Education is something that they are fearful of or they reject wholeheartedly. Why? I don't know. It identifies as something that only white people do. I guess ignorance and non-education is something that's affiliated with being a minority in this country. In order for you to be authentic, you must never, ever get a goddamn high school diploma or go to college or even learn a trade, for crying out loud. Like, stay the hell away from books. Reading and writing, that's for whitey. Most susceptible because education is frowned upon. And look, I'm telling you, I'm a victim of that. I'm totally a victim. Well, I shouldn't say that because I totally shun that because you know me, I'm an asshole. There was no way anybody's going to tell me being smart was going to... What? Shut up. People tell you, oh, what, you trying to be white? You trying to be educated? You trying to be cool with them white people? That's why you learning them big words? Trying in some way to intimidate me, to insult me. You try to use them big white words. What, you think you one of them now? Little homicide had gunpowder residue on his hands. I know, I guarantee you damn right he was shooting. They tell me all the time, what, you think you one of them? They ain't never going to accept you, boy. No matter what they do, no matter how smart you get, you still going to be a nigga. Like, who says that? Like, who says that to a young black kid growing up? Like, you want the kid to have a future, and your means in which to get them there is to say, you get all the education you want, but you still gonna be a nigga. What kid doesn't turn around and go, what the F am I doing all this for? You mean I'm still going to be marginalized and treated like nothing? Oh, well, okay. What's that those guys are doing over there? Oh, selling drugs and shooting people randomly over drug spots? Yeah, I'm going to go do that. Yeah, this education thing is for the birds. What's the downside with hanging out with Whitey? Too much mayonnaise and bland potato salad? Exactly. When you can't sell education, or let me put it this way. In the information age where there's smart technology, computers everywhere, everything's at your fingertips. Everything you need to know is at your fingertips. The fact that you're still selling education to a group of people based on their ethnicity is baffling. But like I said, I don't feel for this boy. Just like you don't feel for that white woman who climbed through that window at the Capitol building. He asked for it. He joined a gang. Little homicide. Got a little homicide. I'm sorry. I could do that all day. All right, just do this one. Anyway. All right, folks, let's get into Charlie Chester. Anybody know who Charlie Chester is? Well, Charlie Chester is a technical director over at CNN. This technical director over at CNN, this moron, because that's who he is, this moron obviously got a little too comfortable with a secret recording young lady who was probably, giving him the old batting of the eyelashes and a, hey, big spender. And she probably hung out with him, made him feel like he was important, made him feel like she was, all on his jock, as they used to say back in the day. She was all on his jock, son. To make him feel as though he was relevant, he was important. So he started telling some tales out of school. And so there's a series of videos that came out by Project Veritas, James O'Keefe, friend of the room, with Charlie Chester, talking about some of the things going on at CNN. Well, the one video that caught my eye was about what he said open and honestly about two things. It's about CNN's support of Black Lives Matter and what he, a technical director at CNN, found out when doing research about Asian hate. Now, I tried to talk to people about this, but I got a lot of pushback. The facts remain that the African American community overwhelmingly is responsible for attacks on Asians for whatever reason there is. Now, before I start to play this whole video, I want to go back into, because this has always bothered me, okay? I do not hate Asians. I don't. I just hate their movies. I won't watch a goddamn karate flick ever. And if I do, it's got to be something on TV. Okay, I will admit I did see Romeo Must Die, okay, with Jackie Chan. And I did watch Lethal Weapon 4 with Jet Li. No, Jackie Chan. What was it? I'm sorry. What was that? Lethal Weapon 4 was with Jet Li. And what was the other movie I just mentioned? Oh, whatever it was. Oh, Romeo Must Die with Jet Li. Yeah, those two Jet Lis. I watched Rush Hour with Jackie Chan. I've watched them both. But I will never, ever see a quote-unquote kung fu flick. Okay? The horrible overdubbing is going to take me to show you. Not doing it. I won't watch that nonsense. The one reason why I won't is because what I know when it comes to the African American community and the Asian community, they don't like blacks. They just don't. They're not fond of black people. Now, if you think Whitey doesn't like black people, whoo, you should see the Asians. They really don't like black people. But no one ever talks about it. And the black communities, for all they do, for every Wu-Tang Clan album that comes out, the Asians still don't like blacks. Wu-Tang notwithstanding. But anyway. Thank you, Leon. Nothing works like a honeypot trap and a narcissist piece of S like Charlie. And you're spot on about Asian hate crimes. Yes, but this guy, Charlie, he says the truth. Now, I want you to hear that. Forgive the intro, but I just wanted to play this. I'm going to play the intro. This comes from James O'Keefe, friend to the room, and his expose on Charlie Chester, the technical director over at CNN.
Don't you Asian. What are you doing? We're trying to help the BLM.
Charlie Chester will shock you even more. This time, we see Chester reconciling the truth that actually exists compared to what happens in his own network.
I was trying to say something like hate, people are getting attacked. A bunch of men that have been attacking Asian. So I'm like, what are you doing? We're trying to help BLM. You're gonna I mean, it's individuals. It's not people, you know.
And there it is. That's the part that I want. So he's talking about how he wants to help the African Americans in the BLM movement. He wants to help black people in BLM. It's just like, hey, man, we're trying to help. Oh, it is echoing? Okay, I apologize for that. I have a feeling I know why. I knew that was going to happen. Let me see if I can actually fix that. Thank you for that, John Beckman. I apologize that was echoing. There may be a good reason for that. Yeah, I think I know exactly why that's happening.
That's not good.
Yeah, there's a reason why. My apologies. I'll fix that. In fact, right there. Yeah, I got that. Okay. Anyway, so there's a reason why he's saying that, okay? Of course, CNN's trying to help the Black Lives Matter movement. Black Lives Matter movement has no support, okay? Over 67% of the African American community hates BLM. They want no parts of it. Why? Well, you know what's going on with one of the founders buying 4 homes and incredible amounts of money that she's getting from Black Lives Matter. Plus, I got another story that involves Sandra Bland's own mother and Black Lives Matter. Anyway, that being said, what was the other thing? Oh, anyway, so back to my point. So he reveals that, look, we're trying to help Black Lives Matter. Why? Because it doesn't have widespread support in the Black Lives Matter thing. What also is astonishing is the fact that he then turns around and says, but, you know, these are individuals. It's not, you know, they're not a people. They're individuals. He says that. Now, if you need me to play it over because the audio is so screwed up, please forgive me, but I'll play it again. Listen closely to what he says.
Charlie Chester will shock you even more. This time, we see Chester reconciling the truth that actually exists compared to what happens in his own network.
I was trying to do some research on like the Asian hate, like the people are getting attacked or whatever. A bunch of black men that have been attacking Asian. So I'm like, what are you doing? Like, we're trying to help with the BLM, and you're gonna I mean, it's individuals. It's not a people, you know. That's not good. The optics of that are not good.
That's right. The optics, he says, are not good. Of course the optics are not good. Right? The optics are not good because CNN, as an organization, which we all know, not that I'm sitting up here, freaking in an echo chamber here, but CNN does not see people as individuals. Now, they know that they're supposed to. As you can hear, Charlie Chester is saying the right things. Look, these are individuals who happen to be black who are attacking Asian people. Okay? They are not just one people. They are not monolithic. They do not all share the same ideology, do not share one brain, okay, and then think the same things. They all sharing an ideal in the sense of, hey, let's go out and go attack Asians. No, these are individuals who are sick, demented, and stupid. But he says that. But of course he says that here the CNN is trying to help Black Lives Matter. Of course they're trying to help Black Lives Matter. But for what reason? What reason are they trying to help Black Lives Matter? I don't think that they know. I don't think that Charlie knows. Because I've been asking for longest, to what end could Black Lives Matter be supported as an organization? Like, what is the accomplishment? Now, if the accomplishment is to, I don't know, maybe do away with a patriarchal society, does CNN support that? Probably so. But in supporting BLM to do what? To get African Americans to glom onto that? I doubt it. Again, like I said, 67% of the African American community opposes Black Lives Matter as an organization. Right? The whole idea that they promote a sort of an abolishment of cisgender identity roles. African Americans totally overwhelmingly are against that. 70% of the African American community is opposed to gay union. They won't admit it unless you force them to, because usually online is where they show it. They're opposed to it, though. They also do it at the ballot box. Truth be told. Anytime there's a gay agenda at the ballot, 70% of African Americans shun it. That's just a fact. They don't have to tell everybody. They just do it privately in the ballots. I'm sorry. There's just not to. And don't think that the African American community, look, if there's one thing the African American community and conservative African Americans agree on, okay, is that white people are trying to get blacks to sign on to that badly. They want black support of that. Why? Because they know that if blacks support the gay agenda, it will be very similar to the feminist movement. And Gloria Steinem could not get the momentum in which she had until she got black women to join her. It's just a fact. And they know that if they have African American support, it's the reason why in the late 80s, the early 90s, the gay movement kept trying to attribute it to a civil rights movement. You may remember that, right? Do you remember that everybody kept saying that gay rights were civil rights? Remember that? And a lot of people, there was pushback from guys like John Lewis. Like John Lewis had a problem with that. Yeah, they did. John Lewis had a big problem back in the days with anybody calling the gay movement a civil rights movement until somebody corrected his ass and said, "You shut your mouth, Negro." They go, them motherfuckers got money, and you're going to accept them that this is a new civil rights movement. And sure enough, he put his tail between his legs, and next thing you know, he was cutting gay ads for the rest of the Democrats. Al Sharpton got noticed too. Al Sharpton used to run around using that faggot word a lot. I heard him personally at Mr. Chow's on August 26th, 2001. That's the exact date. August 26th, 2001, Al Sharpton, when talking about his opponents in legislation, referred to them as faggots. Yeah, right in front of me. Yes, he did. And I know because I was there. Sitting next to me, sitting two people away from me was former Mayor David Dinkins. Right. And at the end of the table on the opposite side was Martin Luther King III. That's right. Also, the president of the Amsterdam News, sitting to my right. That's correct. But yeah, now, all of a sudden, our LGBTQ brothers and sisters. I always go back to, what's her name? Margaret Sanger. Margaret Sanger said, if you ever need a movement, or needed the abortion movement to last and to exist, they had to incorporate African Americans into it. And they had to make sure that they went to the African American clergy to get them to encourage African Americans to abort their children. How do we know this to be true? Recipient of the first Margaret Sanger Award in 1969 went posthumously to none other than Martin Luther King III. Martin Luther King Jr., sorry. That's how we know. That's just the way it is, folks. Get freaking used to it. But here's this moron talking about the Black Lives Matter movement. Wow, wonder what kind of combo it would be today with the Biden administration. But here's this moron who's, stating the obvious. Look, we're trying to help Black Lives Matter. But then he says, they're individuals. They're not a group of people. I'm going to talk about that a little later, about groups of people with regards to this police shooting.
Little things like that are enough to set back movements, because the far left will start to latch on and create a story of like criminalizing an entire people, just easier headlines that way, I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
So you're saying that the far left would label a whole genre of people? I kind of missed your point.
No, the conservatives. I'm sorry, not the far left. But I've noticed that like you'll get headlines that might lump people together as opposed to focusing on the individual. I mean, that's what Trump ended up doing with like the China virus, and that puts so much blame on an entire group of people as opposed to, you know, a few careless individuals.
Right.
Now, you notice what he did there? He knew exactly what route he was going down when he said that the far left has a tendency to lump certain people together. But then he caught himself when she went further. It's like, what are you trying to say? That the left actually groups people based upon race? And he had to think about it for a while because he knew what it sounded like. He sounded like he was, in essence, rejecting the idea that the far left does that when he knows that they do. So he immediately says, "Oh, you know, it's the right. It's the right who does that." You know, when Donald Trump called it the China virus. Well, that completely contradicts what he said in the first place. Because when he did research about the Asian hate, what did he find? African Americans overwhelmingly, African American men overwhelmingly, to be specific, are the ones who are attacking Asian people. Now, unless he can statistically find out that all of these African Americans that he found that were attacking Asians were also Trump supporters. I mean, was Larry Elder beating up some Asian in Chinatown in San Francisco? I mean, let a brother know. The far left will never turn on blacks ever. Well, I don't think it's a matter of turning on them. It's called the China virus because it came from China. Duh. Yes, we know. Anyway, he went on.
The actual source, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but is it normal for the media to like, so say there's a white shooter, black shooter. Which one are we gonna, like?
Yeah, the longest while, like, the story was like, people were like lapping up that it was like, white guys for like so long. I haven't seen anything about focusing on the color of people's skin that aren't white. They just aren't saying anything. You know what I mean? They're just not. All of a sudden, that story loses a little steam, and they just like leave it be.
Why?
I don't know. I think it's got to be trends, like what people will latch onto.
Now, that's an interesting question that she asked. She's wondering why it is that the media, because what she wants them to admit is that CNN is pushing the storyline that if it's a white shooter, we got to cover it. We got to go nuts on that. And if it's a black shooter, what's the deal? Why won't you cover it? And he doesn't seem to know. Technical director, okay, fine. He works at CNN. He doesn't know why. He just says people don't tend to latch onto it. Well, how would you know if you don't cover it? Right? You don't cover when those shootings take place. You don't cover any of it. There's no real data on whether or not the audience latches on to black shooters or black mass shootings because you don't cover them in any, let's just say, reasonable way to gather data. I guess that's the best way to put it. Say, no, people latch on to the shooter being white. No, actually, they don't. People latch on to mass shooter stories. They don't care who's responsible. They go to mass shooter stories just innately. People are attracted to it because they want to know, one, where it happened, how many people died. It's a sensational story, especially people who are, anti-gun zealots and advocates. Those people latch on those stories because what do? They're waiting to post it on social media. See, this is why we need to get rid of guns. See, the gun nuts and blah, blah, blah. Now, the recent trend is if the shooter is white, how can we associate it with a Trump supporter? That's the new theme now. So it's a completely different era that we're in now. He can't answer that. This guy, Charlie Chester, I don't think is old enough to know why it is that those stories. The Atlanta child murderer. Anybody remember that story? That was a huge story. Not that, of course, he was not a shooter. But the Atlanta child murderer, when they found out he was black, they covered that story. I don't even think a lot of people remember it now, but I do. It's a huge story when I was growing up, especially when they found the guy and found out he was black. It was just as interesting then as it would have been if he were white. Just as interesting as the Son of Sam, David Berkowitz. What about the what was it? The Long Island the Long Island Railroad shooter, Colin? What the F was his last name? Somebody will remind me. But the guy, the Long Island Railroad shooter, who defended himself in court. One of my favorite lines was when he cross-examined a woman that he shot. He asked her, "Do you recognize the shooter?" And the woman said, "Yes, I do. It was you." And I think something along the line was, "How do you know that it was me?" She said, "Because I was looking at you." It was such a bonkers case. But I forget what his name was. Colin something. Colin Ferguson. Boom! I knew it. Colin Ferguson. And no, I did not get help. Colin Ferguson. There was a shooting at an 87% black high school in Knoxville last week. It disappeared in a day. But the India shooting got a presidential presser. You're 100% right about that, Mike. And again, of course it is, because the objective is to make sure that, if you're white and you have a gun, you have to be demonized and feared in this country. Look, let me be the first to tell you. Stop demonizing white people with guns. Just stop. You have to think about it in this way. Now, hear me out, because I'm going to use your logic, folks. I'm going to use liberal logic in all of this. It shows just how stupid some of these people are. After the events of September 11th, if those remember, there was a commission. Actually, let me see if I can do this. I don't need Chester anymore. There was a commission in Washington to find out, why do they hate us? Right? And people we got terms like Islamophobe. Right? We have to stop being Islamophobic. Our Islamophobic ways are the reason why people will attack us. Interestingly enough, the shooting that happened in Colorado just a few weeks ago, right, was a Saudi man who was screaming to the rafters about Donald Trump and Islamophobia. It was the reason why he attacked them, because he was sick and tired of the racist whites of Colorado, which, by the way, incidentally, the Major League Baseball took the All-Star game out of a 51% African-American city of Atlanta and moved it to Colorado, a 91% state, a white state, 91% white state. The high school in Tennessee had 5 shootings since January. I believe it. John Beckman says that's probably why they didn't cover it. The shootings there all the time. It's like lunch. But my point is, that was, again, they would go to this young man in Colorado and you'd ask the question, what are we doing? Is it Islamophobia? What, we need to stop being Islamophobic towards these people. They wouldn't attack us if you'd stop being Islamophobic. Fine. I'm willing to agree with you. Okay? I don't think you're right, but I'll agree with you for the sake of argument. Okay? Islamophobia leads to people attacking us in terrorist attacks across the country. Don't be Islamophobic. They won't bomb our buildings. Okay? Now, if your logic is to be reasoned with, what's the deal with demonizing white folks that you believe are gun-carrying nuts who are Trump supporters who would insurrect the Capitol building, the halls of justice? What makes you think that by demonizing them, marginalizing them, and pretty much calling them every name under the book isn't going to make them attack you one day? Remember, they're effing lunatics with guns. Why doesn't your logic apply here? Why wouldn't you say, maybe we should start effing with them? We should stop effing with them because they may come around and shoot our dumbasses up. But no, for some odd reason, that's not happening. At all. Not any commission is running around like gathering information in Washington to find out why the assault on the Capitol building took place. Right? There's nothing, no commission whatsoever. In fact, Nancy Pelosi wants to go into an investigation to find out whether or not there were radicalized white people in the country so that we can find them and prosecute them. No one's thinking about finding Islamic cells within the country who are being radicalized by Islam or whatever prophet it is that they're believing in this week. No one's going out to go hunt those people down because that just wouldn't be ethical or constitutional. But the federal government can go to Bank of America and get information about your bank records to find out whether or not you were in Washington on January 6th, who you are, what you bought, and where you were. Yet they refuse to call this riots what they are. Yeah. That's right. They refuse to call the riots that are happening right now in Michigan what it is that they are. One would think that they'd realize the January 6th folks all showed up with rifles. We would have had 100 dead senators. Exactly. That's what would have happened. And it didn't happen. But there's no one sitting around putting a commission together to find out what exactly incited this crowd. Nope, it's to demonize them and marginalize them. But when they're radical Islamists, we need to find out what we could do to make it better. Anybody remember a woman by the name of Marie Huff? I think it's Marie Huff, right? It's got to be. She was the spokesperson for the State Department during the Obama administration. Right? I'm almost certain that's her name. Maria Huff. I could be wrong. But I'm Maria Huff, something on there. Blonde-haired girl, wears dark rimmed glasses. And she was the spokesperson for the State Department. Does anybody remember that conference that she came where she was talking about how we needed to give radical Islam jobs? ISIS. Let me see if I can find this. This was an absolutely astonishing. I want to say it was. Yeah, Marie Hoff. That's her name. Nope, that's not her name. What was that? What was her name? Is it Help? I don't think so. I know it's Marie. Maybe it was Help. Let me see. Harf, that's correct. Marie Harf. Yep, State Department spokesperson. What was she talking about? ISIS needs jobs. I'm almost certain. Yes, this is it. 6 years ago, to be exact. I don't know what made me bring this up. Let me see if
I'm Greg Jarrett, and you are in the strategy room. The terrorist group ISIS is moving closer to expanding its control further into Iraq and now even Libya. At the same time, State Department spokeswoman Marie Harf said in an interview with Chris Matthews, "We can't win, quote, by killing them." Joining us now with the reaction, our political strategists, Lee Carter and Jessica Tarloff. Welcome to both of you. On so many different levels, this remark by the State Department spokesperson is remarkable. So let's put it up on the screen to examine it. And the latter part is the most important. We're killing a lot of them. We're going to keep killing most of them, more of them. So are the Egyptians, Jordanians. They're in this fight with us, but we cannot win this war by killing them. We cannot kill our way out of this war. We need, in the medium to longer term, to go after the root causes that leads people to join these groups, whether it's a lack of opportunities for jobs, whether, and then she was interrupted by Chris Matthews.
Yeah, those were her words. Harf, I remember her saying it. What an idiot. Yeah, well, she was a moron. She said that we needed to give the Taliban jobs. Right, we need to fight them. Well, she said that we were already killing them. But she was saying, we need to go beyond killing them. We need to get them jobs. And I always, there's this piece that I remember. Hold on, let me see if I can get this in there. this monologue, which you are going to love. You're going to thank me so much for having played this. Because I know, yes, here it is. You're going to totally love me having played this because it is classic when I think about Marie Harf and that stupid Taliban comment.
How may I help you, my brother? Look, I'm here because I can't stand what's happening in this community. Yes! Yeah, and somebody has to make a change. Yes! Now, brother, will you help me? Yes! Well, I wish I could. Damn it, man, I heard the People's Revolutionary Army was once 1,000 strong. Now, what happened?
They got government jobs.
The brothers walked in with guns, came out with jobs.
The brothers weren't mad anymore. Yes, Whitey is something else.
Anyway, Mike says, she almost died from toxic shock syndrome, but she didn't change her tampon. Because she didn't change her tampon. Not a genius. No way! Please tell me you're kidding. There's no way that's true. Mike is so crazy. Mike, please tell me you're kidding about that. Anyway, but that's, again, this is the people that they are. So I'm keep telling people, look, stop inciting Whitey. I mean, if we're to believe everything that you say, that antagonizing them, marginalizing them, criticizing them, demonizing them is a means in which causes them to radicalize, to self-radicalize, I'd knock it the F off. That's just me. But they're still doing it. Anyway. So I just wanted to get that piece out there. Where am I now? Oh, let's get into Hank Johnson. Hank Johnson, this effing political moron. There are plenty to go around. This moron, Hank Johnson, thinks that we should know if you Google it or go on the name, the old story comes up. Wow, she's an idiot. Hank Johnson, dumbest man in the world, thinks that we should go back to Civil War times and bring back 13 justices to the Supreme Court. Well, we all know what the ploy is here. The objective is, of course, to bring more liberals so that they never, ever change the makeup of this America. Well, they changed the makeup of America again, and it can never, ever be changed back. Here's dumbass Hank Johnson talking about that.
Natural expansion stopped after the Civil War, leaving us today with the historical oddity of 13 circuit courts of appeal and only 9 justices. I believe it's time to go back to this tradition and have at least 13 justices.
Yeah, Hank Johnson is a moron. Look no further than his statements about Guam. That would definitely approve my point.
No, this is a island that at its widest level is 12 miles from shore to shore, and at its smallest level or smallest location, it's 7 miles between one shore and the other. Is that correct?
I don't have the exact dimensions, but to your point, sir, I think Guam is a small island.
Very small island, and about 24 miles, if I recall, long. So 24 miles long, about 7 miles wide at the least widest place on the island, and about 12 miles wide on the widest part of the island. And I don't know how many square miles that is. Do you happen to know?
I don't have that figure with me, sir. I can certainly supply it to you if you'd like.
Yeah, my fear is that the whole island will become so overly populated that it will tip over and capsize.
We don't anticipate that. the Guam population, I think, currently about 175,000, and again, with 8,000 Marines and their families, it's an addition of about 25,000 more.
How does somebody not grab this man and go, shut up! Just shut up! And this guy, yes, exactly. Wow, he sounds uneducated. Yeah, that's right. That's right, Jamie. He said that the island of Guam, due to overpopulation, might capsize. You've never seen this before? He is literally the dumbest man on the face of the earth. The biggest idiot. Yeah, the same guy that thought that Guam would capsize. Is there's too many soldiers on one side of the apple. Listen to that guy. 100% right. They are dead serious. This guy gets elected. He's put on committees, ladies and gentlemen. He's put on committees. Now, look, I want to just say one thing about this guy. He thinks islands float. God damn it. This is, folks, this is why I implore you. Please listen to me. Listen to me. Listen to me. These people are morons. Okay? Your elected officials are morons. And I'll tell you how this works for the future, so you know. If there are people who are electing them, you see, look, let me just put it plain and simple. You walk around every day, right? You drive in your car, you go to work, you see people at the Walmart or at any other store, you go there, right? You see people doing dumb things all the time. In fact, you ask yourself on a regular basis, oh my God, I can't believe he is this stupid. Well, this is your electorate. These people vote. And so when you ask yourself why a Hank Johnson is in office, there's your answer. There are people running around that dumb. They are. They are that dumb. Stupidity is frightening. It is incredibly frightening. Yeah, somebody wrote, I love this quote. Liberalism is a mental disorder simply because you are not required to think. Every policy position is based upon emotions. That's why these people are stupid. Morons. How about fucking... Yeah, you're 100% there. Right, they are. John Beckman. These people are dumb. They're always going to be dumb. It's who they are. You need to recognize that they're dumb. And stop thinking about, these people are... Remember, the reason why these people, affect stupid ideas is because they are stupid. Hank Johnson is a stupid person. Okay? Let's just call it what it is. He is a stupid person. And there are plenty of people who are like him who are this stupid. If you don't believe me, I'll tell you an old Rush Limbaugh story, and I've been thinking about him lately. I'll never forget this story. It baffled the mind, but it really happened. There was an organization that I almost joined. I did one benefit with them. But when I found out they were doing this, I had to stop working with them. I am a huge advocate for helping the homeless. I believe, as a former homeless kid, homelessness is one of sort of like my pet projects. I've always thought that there are ways that you could deal with homelessness. It's a very complex issue to deal with. However, I do believe legalization of drugs in certain states has actually hurt homelessness, not helped it, or added to the homeless population and has not helped it. I also believe that, there are so many other factors. But anyway, let me get to my point. Anyway, so there was a homeless organization in New York that was out there trying to help homeless people. Now, the one thing you don't do is that you don't create a program within an organization that teaches people how to cope with said condition, right? Like with heroin, heroin addicts, you don't remedy a problem by saying, hey, here are some safer and cleaner ways to shoot your heroin. That's not what you do. But this homeless organization thought that they should put together a testimonial and information guide for homeless people on how they can survive the cold winters or cold nights within New York City. Well, they put together this entire package. And instead of putting the package together that they could hand out, that in general they could hand out to the homeless for them to read, they put it on a VCR. Yes, they put it on a VCR tape. And the objective was to produce a video for homeless people to learn ways that they can cope at night when they wouldn't go to a shelter, couldn't go to a shelter, nights that were cold, where they could go in the city, places that were safe for them to be. And I remember Rush Limbaugh bringing it up, and he asked what the obvious question was, because I asked it as soon as he talked about it. I said, well, where the F are the homeless people going to watch it? But this organization did it. They produced a freaking VHS video for homeless people to watch. And they thought that these people are stupid. They just are. Another example. Right? True. I was with my ex. We were driving on 28th Street, and we came to the intersection of 9th Avenue and 28th Street. We're going westbound. We're going to our home. We get on 28th Street, and right on 28th Street, there is a sign that says blind people crossing. So I asked a simple question. Who is that sign for? Now, my ex at the time said, well, what do you think who do you think the sign is for? Well, I said, well, obviously it's not for blind people, so why is it there? So she, thinking that she caught me being stupid, says, well, obviously it's for you. It's warning you that blind people cross on this street. And I said, as opposed to who? And she was like, regular pedestrians. I said, oh, so if only regular pedestrians crossed here, I'd just plow right through them? Are you telling me that if normal pedestrians were here, I could just drive through them? But now that this intersection has blind people, I should proceed with caution? And then she got angry at me because I said it in that fashion. But that's stupidity. I don't need to be told who's crossing the street. I just need to be aware of people crossing the street. It doesn't matter whether or not they're blind, whether or not they have dogs, whether or not they have pets, whether or not they're walking with a gerbil up their ass. Who gives a damn? They're crossing. I don't need to be told, don't hit the pedestrians. Or don't hit the blind pedestrians. Why are they being singled out? But she couldn't get the concept. But because, again, this ability, this stupid notion that everybody has to be told every silly, ridiculous thing just baffles my mind. And of course, when I said it to her, it's just like, these people don't make any sense. And they don't. And we have to start recognizing that, when we're looking at this stuff, just going, am I crazy? No, you're not crazy. They are stupid. Blind people crossing. Why is there Braille at the drive-through bank teller at the ATM? Why? Now, somebody did mention something to me, and I thought about it. And it makes sense. Let's say you have a blind person in the backseat of your car, right? You roll up, you pull up to the backseat of the window, and somebody with Braille can go to the ATM. That makes sense. I agree with that. Question is, how often do you think it happens? How many Uber drivers are pulling up to an ATM for a blind person? Many? Some? A few? Across the country? They all have Braille. Why? Because it's required by law. It doesn't have to make sense. It's required by law that you have some form, for something for the handicap on a drive-through ATM, even if it doesn't make sense. Even if it's the stupidest and the dumbest idea ever, they have it there. Just recognize that people are dumb. Hank Johnson, perfect example. Julian Castro from California said on the national stage running for president that we have to protect abortion rights for women and transgender women. In other words, men who transgender into women, who transfer into women. Or transgender, is that the word? Or transform, or whatever the F it is they're called, but who are transitioning, thank you, transitioning into women. Can't get pregnant, but we must protect their pregnancy rights or their abortion rights. Can't have an abortion, but we must protect them. Julian Castro said that. Why? Because he was trying to cater to transgenders, or is he stupid? I'm going to say both. I'm going to go with all of the above. He was trying to pander to transgender, but he's also stupid for saying it out loud. We don't need people to say that. He didn't even need to say it. But he's an idiot because he felt he had to. Did he think I was going to get him votes? Did he think that everyone in the room didn't know that a transgender male going into a woman cannot give birth to a child? Did he really think no one knew that? All of them are stupid. It's just something that just needs to be addressed. I just figured I'd just bring it. I just had to bring that to everybody's attention. Forgive me. Anyway, what was the thing? This was the quote I wanted to read. Against stupidity, we are defenseless. Neither protest nor the use of force accomplish anything here. Reasons fall on deaf ears. Facts that contradict one's prejudgment simply need not be believed. That's what you need to remember, folks. Against stupidity, we are defenseless. And we are. We're defenseless. Because you can't do anything with a stupid person. Can't reason with a stupid person. Ill-informed or uninformed people, you can see their wheels spinning. They'll at least consider your argument. But the stupid, they're lost. And they're dangerous. Neither protest nor the use of force accomplish anything here. Reasons fall on deaf ears. Facts that contradict one's prejudgment simply need not be believed. They are stupid. And it sounds harsh to call somebody stupid, but they are. I'm greeted by them on a daily basis. Just people who are stupid. That's all. I just wanted to get that point across. All right, what else is going on? There is a little bit of news that I wanted to get into, so I'm sorry, but I'm running all over the place here trying to find some news here that I wanted to go into. Oh, Breonna Taylor's mom. I forgot all about that, folks. So, Breonna Taylor's mom, she is calling the BLM people fraud. Breonna Taylor's mother, Tamika Palmer, blasted Black Lives Matter in Louisville, and Democratic Kentucky Rep. Attica Scott calling them a fraud in a Facebook post from Wednesday. She said, quote, I've never personally dealt with Black Lives Matter Louisville and personally have found them to be fraud. She also wrote, she called out the organizations that purport to help Breonna's family, yet do not even know who her family is. I think it's crazy when people say that they've been here since day one. I could walk in a room full of people who claim to be here for Breonna's family who don't even know who I am. Palmer also went after the fundraisers that use her late daughter's name to allegedly enrich themselves, saying that they know who they are. I've watched y'all raise money on behalf of Breonna's family, who has never done a damn thing for us, nor have we needed it. I'm so sick of y'all. I'm so sick of some of y'all, I'm sorry. Palmer's criticism of the Black Lives Matter movement comes after several Black Lives Matter activists demanded independent investigation into the group's finances, voices concerns over the leadership's real estate purchases. They're also, did you hear about this, that now that people are going after one of the co-founders' real estate purchases, that people are saying even bringing it up is racist. Well, I'll tell you what's racist, ladies and gentlemen. Let me break down to you what's racist. Why would a black lesbian Marxist who is a co-founder of Black Lives Matter that wants to destroy the patriarchy and the nuclear family move into a white neighborhood where the nuclear family is, literally, tenfold. Now, unless she was going there to infiltrate the white patriarchal nuclear family and then go in there and start whispering into the ears of the white housewife and saying, girl, you could do so much better. You don't need no man. You need to venture out on your own. You need to find yourself a beautiful black sister to fall in love with. Back like you did when you were in college, when you experimented. I'm sorry. I'll do better. But you know what I mean? Unless she was doing that, because that would make sense to me. Maybe she's just moving into those lily white neighborhoods, you know what I'm saying? So she could, spread her wings and get the white patriarchal society on her side. She's doing a little, incognito. Bullshit. Her ass is in there because she don't want to be around you niggas. Black Lives Matter co-founder Patrisse Cullors claimed that owning 4 homes was not a reflection of Marxist principles because she used them to support her own family. Cullors addresses the issue during the first segment of her interview with Mark Lamont Hill, saying that she had chosen to help her family when she had been given the resources to do so. Oh, the resources to do so. I didn't know that. Let's see if we can listen in here. Oh, hold on. I apologize. I thought that was actually going to come in on the audio, but it's not. Oh, no, here we go. Let me go here. I think I can get that here. You just gave me an idea. We all should trademark our names. Okay, hold on. Here it goes.
And now Dante Wright. Their death sparked protests all around the country, indeed around the world. The Black Lives Matter movement has inspired people to speak up for a race that has been disproportionately victimized and otherwise harmed by the police. But now,
Mark, that's a lie.
Now, one of the people instrumental in the Black Lives Matter movement is also the subject of a major controversy. Joining me right now for a Black News Tonight exclusive, Patrisse Cullors, the artist, the activist, the abolitionist, and of course the co-founder of Black Lives Matter. Patrisse, welcome. Before we get into the discussion,
What? Why did it stop? That's weird.
Black Lives Matter.
My apologies.
That's been the loudest.
It's disturbing.
What do you make of what's happened?
Firstly, I just want to send all of my love and care to Dante Wright's family. It's painful. It's disturbing. Anything Black Lives Matter Global Network can do for the family, we are here. And I also want to send a lot of love to Adam Toledo's family. Now that the video has been shared, it's all really heartbreaking and incredibly disturbing that we are going through this again and again and again.
Now, what I find interesting about this is that Patrisse Cullors is very reserved. Right, the radical Black Lives Matter that we're used to, the screaming, Black power, no justice, no peace. No, she's very reserved. She's got a little library behind her in this shot in her home. There's a library there, you know. I don't see any African artifacts or anything behind her. I wonder why. No, she doesn't seem to have that. She's got some pretty flowers. But she looks very educated with her library behind her for all the white man's books that she read.
Absolutely. So I want to pivot to the reason why you're here. In the last few weeks, there have been stories that have become very prominent in the national media around you, and particularly around issues of spending, issues of income. Specifically, there were two stories that came out that talked about you purchasing homes. You reportedly purchased 4 homes, and we're looking even at another home. I believe in the Bahamas. There were conversations about how you spend money, and the stories also had a lot of innuendo about the relationship between your money and your spending, and questions around BLM, Global Movement's finances. So the first thing I want to do is talk about what's true that has been said and what has been untrue.
I want to start, thank you, Mark. I want to just start by saying something that's really important for people to hear. And that's, I have never taken a salary from the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation. And that's important because what the right-wing media is trying to say is the donations that people gave to Black Lives Matter went towards my spending. And that is categorically untrue and incredibly dangerous.
So you haven't taken a salary. So your income that you use to make whatever purchases you've made have come from outside income. You've mentioned on your IG, and other people have talked about speeches, studio deals, book deals for your book when they call you a terrorist. Your income has not come from working directly with BLM, GM.
That's correct. Yeah. I'm a college professor, first of all. I also am a TV producer, and I have had 2 book deals. My first book that came out was a New York Times bestseller. And I also have had a YouTube deal. And so much of all of my income comes directly from the work that I do. But I also...
Okay, but even if that is the case, Patrice, I still got an issue with this, homegirl. And here's the issue that I have. You are a trained Marxist. Sounds like you're a trained capitalist. I mean, if I'm to be honest here, wouldn't that make you a capitalist? You have a book deal, a YouTube deal, you go out on speeches, you're making millions of dollars, you could buy homes, you're about to buy a home in the Bahamas. You're a trained Marxist. And none of this money is going to the scores of people you claim to help. You got more homes than an admitted Democratic socialist in Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders has got nowhere near as many homes as you do. Bernie has got to be sitting there going, what the hell? What's going on here? There's some Black Lives Matter movement girl who's got 5 homes. I've only got 3. What's going on here? Wait a minute. I had a book tour. My wife works as a college. She's a professor. She ran a whole college. I've only got 3 homes. What about the systemic racism that is keeping me from having 5 homes? I think as a Jew, I should have more homes. As someone from Black Lives Matter who just started giving tours, I've been in public service for over 40 years. I've only got 3 homes. What's going on here? Her speeches are more. Did she draw thousands of people in crowds back in 2016? No, I think not. What the hell? She's sitting up here talking about. I've only got 3 homes. Black Lives Matter has 5. Or to poke the bear, think about it. Move into a 90 some odd percent white community and hold Black Lives Matter rally at any and yeah, that's right. At any and every microaggression right in her own neighborhood. Oh, whoever thought that the white neighborhood would be reverse gentrified? How about that one, Leon? Maybe she could get all of her Black Lives Marxists over there to buy every home in that community. Absolutely insane. Poor Bernie Sanders. Poor Bernie Sanders. Hey, did you hear that Raul Castro is actually going to be stepping down out of office? I found that interesting. Castro confirmed he's passing the Cuban Communist Party leadership to a new generation. Now, I said this many years ago. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I said this many years ago, and I wouldn't be shocked. But if anybody knows me, do you know who did I say was going to be the new leader of Cuba once the Castros stepped down? Does anybody remember? There can be only one. And now look, do I want this to come true? Yes. But you have to understand why I want it to come true, because it would bring everything full circle. It would bring it all full circle. For those of you who don't know, I want Elian Gonzalez to be the new president of Cuba. Oh, I would be so happy. I would be so overjoyed if Elian Gonzalez were the president or el presidente of Cuba after the Castros handed over to a new regime. There is a statue, it's a small one, a statue with Elian Gonzalez. I think he's like this. I think the statue is with him like this. And he's holding Superman in his right hand like this. And the statue is supposed to like show him throwing the action figure of Superman. And it's supposed to symbolize Elian rejecting colonialism. Superman. Because, they wanted him back. And Castro came to Elian's house every year for his birthday party. The Presidente coming to Elian's house every year for his birthday. And calling Elian's father a good worker, patting him on the head. He is a good worker. That's right, Elian's father, good worker. That's what he referred to him as. And that you make a statue of Elian Gonzalez inside the museum. How can he not be the president of Cuba? They have to have groomed him for that. Let me go to Elian Gonzalez. How old is he now? He's 27. He's ripe. Known for child custody and immigration case. Yeah, Juan Miguel. Juan Miguel. He is a good worker. What's he doing now? Let me see where he is. The last story about him. Let me see. Where's any features about him?